Hello, everyone, and welcome to the episode 78 of the Office Hours podcast. Today we have a new guest. His name is Noris. He's the gentleman that I've met at the security conference several weeks ago that I had an episode on. That's also the guy who's like a social butterfly. He was like able to get his way into any kind of conversation and start asking people all these questions. So I'm still massively impressed by that and hoping to learn some tips and tricks. But overall, there was one interesting thing that he mentioned when we first met, and he said that he worked in cybersecurity for the RCMP, and I was like, ooh, that's probably as close to James Bond as you get to be in Canada, I guess. So I thought that was very interesting, so I invited him over to the podcast to kind of chat about it. I gotta preface it by saying that he's under a bunch of NDAs and can't talk about some things. So potentially some things might get redacted out, but hey, you don't want to mess with state secrets and all that kind of stuff. So Noris, over to you, my man. How's it going?
Yes, my name is Noris. Vasili and I met at CyberX. I am a software engineer originally, shifted cybersecurity, shifted into AI, and now I'm right at the intersection of AI and cybersecurity. There are a lot of different things that I do. For example, I conduct interviews with a lot of AI subject matter experts and basically talk to them about where is AI going to go, what are their thoughts in terms of security measures and whatnot, what to do about deepfakes, what to do about the social media attacks that are stemming from, let's say China, for example, which was happening a lot during both the Trump and the US and the Canadian elections. So that's currently what I do. And then I'm helping other companies with business development. I help organize poker nights for founders here in Vancouver, actually. So if you're a founder, a CEO, director, VP, whatever, big shot, we'd love to have you because we know that you're very, very busy. So this is an easy way to have fun, but also network with other people. And VCs also love to be there. So it's also a really good opportunity to meet people like Peter Mueller or any of the VC people that are here in Vancouver. And we're looking to expand that. We just had it in Seattle, and we're looking to expand that to San Fran and New York pretty soon. But yeah, and then I think that's about it. We'll talk more about it go along, right?
Yeah. No, right on. You see how smooth that plug was? It's like just like, hey, natural talent. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, doing cybersecurity, it's kind of funny. We had with my regular co-host Mo, we had a bunch of episodes about AI because he's like broadly pro AI, and I'm like broadly a Luddite, where I think like AI is kind of horrible in the things that it facilitates.
Yes.
I mean, there's certain good things it facilitates, but there's so many like horrible things it facilitates. People kind of don't really pay attention to that,
that's funny. Yeah, in Jurassic Park, at some point,
whether or not we should.
Yeah, it's like, we tell ourselves we could, but then we don't ask ourselves if we should.
If we should, yeah.
It's like, exactly. You can even see with like phones, for example, right? We kind of just invented them, and then, I mean, how long have phones been out? 2 decades, and now we're figuring like, oh, actually, like the internet was
not all so good, yeah.
Yeah, like the internet was supposed to make us more connected. Look at the loneliness epidemic that's here, that's in, for example, stuff like that, right? So, it really is kind of interesting how, and for me, I gave up. Like I had a moral crisis last year about AI. I was like, dude, there are a lot of people that are going to lose their job. Like we had the Industrial Revolution a century and a half ago, I think, right? Or something like that. And so what happened to a lot of farmers just came to the big cities. They were poor. They were on the streets. So the British government was like, hey, ship them off to Australia. So I don't know how we're going to do it this time around, and who knows what.
This time around, Australia's like, we're full, guys. We're full.
And they're like, our housing sucks. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah.
But if it's the kind of influencers that say, hey, this is my day at whatever corporation, and they just film themselves doing yoga, eating for free, and like drinking wine, maybe I can replace them. No big loss.
No, it's going to be people like, I don't know. Like, who are the main... I think the main people that are going to get replaced are people like, for example, accountants, right? Where they have very strict measures that they need to follow. And stuff like that. If you're someone who uses a lot, I could imagine you getting replaced by AI. I know Google and Shopify, for example, you have to justify a hiring. Why do we need this position to be filled by a human that AI can't do it kind of deal? So you need to justify. Yeah. And then Google...
I still, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it kind of short-sighted. It seems good in the moment, But I think that these types of thought patterns about, oh, the AI can do this job, therefore we don't need people, I think they're gonna backfire a few years down the line.
No, it already is the thing. Like, for example, I know one team on CrowdStrike, they tried to replace people with AI, and they're like, oh my goodness, we need these people back because like this AI cannot do the job. But then AI, like Google is changing the game, like by developing AI employees, right? So they can develop like 250,000 lines of code a day and whatever. So it's good in some ways because software engineers, they're the supply chain. They've been the biggest bottleneck for the longest time. So maybe that's one good thing if you have oversight. We talked about this, right? Remember when we were with
Mm-hmm.
the guy was like, yeah, software engineers are going to get replaced. And it's, I don't know, their supply chain factor, right? Is the thing. And code review is the hardest possible thing to do, right? And an AI is getting
Yeah.
bad Stack Overflow code. So I don't know, right?
We have like an automated bot that goes over your pull requests and tries to like summarize and offer suggestions, and
Yeah.
90% of the time those suggestions are like have nothing to do with what you're trying to do, because like
Yeah, of
it's
course.
very hard to judge intent from a couple of changed lines in the overall file, I think. So
Yeah.
it still doesn't see really the big picture. So anyway, I've talked a lot about it. I mean, if we want to talk about AI, we can definitely talk about AI, because there's a lot of things to be said about AI.
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
know, especially considering like the industrial censorship complex, where AI can like proactively censor like all of the internet, because when it had to be human powered, obviously they couldn't really do that. Even in East Germany during the Stasi times, where 2 out of 3 people, or like 1 out of 3 people, were a government informer, some information still probably managed to get it past the censorship and somehow proliferate. But with AI, like monitoring all communication lines, monitoring everything like you search on
Yeah.
on the internet, shaping what you get to see and what kind of results you get. Even before the AI, you remember all of those scandals where the search engines were accused of basically like
Yeah.
steering the public conversation by prioritizing certain search results and deprioritizing others. Like, imagine what they can do with AI that can like completely govern like much more of it. And the problem is like the AI is going to replicate all of the biases of the people who were training it, and everybody's biased. So I don't know. It's a very dystopian future that I don't particularly like, and that's why I'm very Luddite-ish on AIs, even though I can
Yeah.
understand some parts where they could be useful. But overall, it's like a pretty, our cyberpunk dystopia type of future that we're heading
Yeah, Blade
into.
Runner. Yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah.
the thing is, like, we can, like, I was thinking, I had a conversation with someone about this yesterday, and one thing I said was, we can point and blame fingers all day, and that's not going to solve anything. So, because you're talking to an AI engineer right now, like, I've delved very much into the nitty gritty, into the technical stuff. I think that on one hand, yes, it's going to help us a lot. I think AI agents, I think the security, because what is an AI agent? It's, I can take, right, they need to have more access to stuff about you, right? Like your credit card information or
Because otherwise they'd be useless, right?
exactly. And they're the ones who, let's say that you want to book a flight for you or something. Say stuff like that's the point of an agent, so that it can speed up your daily.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's like the White Christmas episode from Black Mirror, where the best AI helper is literally a snapshot of your own consciousness, because it knows everything about you and your preferences.
and that's the scary part, right? Like,
Yeah.
so just say please and thank you to ChatGPT. Yes, it wastes tokens, but when Skynet takes over, at least the AI overload will know. Oh, this guy was very nice.
This guy was okay, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So, uh, yeah. Anyways, any questions? Go for it. If there's an NDA, I'll tell you.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just hoping to steer it kind of back to the whole RCMP thing. Like, so
Yes.
what's it like being a spy? Well, not a spy, but like,
Ooh.
so I understand like you worked for them in cybersecurity capacity. So I imagine there's like many different divisions of what cybersecurity at RCMP might
Yes.
do. I imagine there's online fraud would fall under this category.
Yeah. Yeah.
Potentially like illicit materials, naughty things involving minors, trafficking, all sorts of stuff,
You
like
got it.
illegal gun sales, drug sales, what have you, darknet, pretty much all of the above.
Yes. So I'll start from the beginning. So they originally hired me as a solutions developer. Now, what does that mean? It means they had a bunch of old systems from 2007, 2005, right? Visual Basic. Now, compared to oil and gas, that's brand new. But like,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
compared to, let's say, I don't know, I was coming from Microsoft, keep in mind, where we were cutting edge. And so I was like, okay, Visual Basic, whatever. Like, and they wanted to integrate it with newer Microsoft systems. So they were pretty much very much inebriated in that whole Microsoft ecosystem. So I came in and they were like, okay, how do we integrate this stuff like that? And no problem. I came in and then eventually I just got to meet people. Now my specialization has actually been AppSec and privacy. Those have usually been my two domains. So I helped them with their kind of processes and stuff like that. And then eventually I kind of shifted over into cybersecurity when I was with them because I met Sergeant Warren something something. There's like 50 million sergeants in cybercrime, let's say. And yeah, one of those is all-in fraud. They deal with whenever an organization gets hit with ransomware, for example. They are the ones who show up on site, for example. Naughty minor stuff, which is, I'm sad to say is actually more common than people actually think here in the lower.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, we talked about the loneliness epidemic. That is a big reason that this is stemming from. And there was a lot going on. I mean, I remember especially like there was a point where I was with them, learning with them, hanging out with them through and through. And I remember at some point I was like, Jesus Christ, how do these people do it day in and day out kind of deal, right? Because on the digital forensic side, for example, there's two units. One is intake and one is analysis. So
they look at all the pictures and classify them whether they are illicit or not.
Well, you don't classify. Well, they're. I mean, doesn't take that much effort, but you need to make sure.
Well,
you have to make sure you have that custody. You have to make sure there's a record on everything.
Right.
Let's say I go to court, and even warrants. Surprising thing about warrants, we have you can call it an e-warrant, for example. If a judge passes a warrant, they very clearly say you can go into this folder, this folder, and this folder. You can't go into anything else. You're not allowed to go, let's say, into this backup system or whatever. You have to be very clear. This is what I did. This is where I went into. This is where I grabbed. So you can grab from maybe, let's say, RAM, this, and this. That's it. Stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You cannot go outside that warrant because that is a breach of privacy, and you just lost.
So it's like fruit of poisonous tree, basically. Everything from there is not admissible.
That's the problem. Like you could have caught something, and it's stupid. Like you'll see a folder on the desktop XXX, and you're like, okay, I know where this is going, but you can't do it because it's not part of the warrant.
Maybe he's just a big fan of Vin Diesel and his movie Triple X. You
never know, man. But like, it was the dumbest things. For example, like I even remember at one point, like you go in and like passwords were getting stored like on tables and stuff like like what the password was,
like whatever, a sticky note.
Yeah, literally a sticky note, just like on the back of their PC or stuff like that. So yeah, I can't go into like details, but it was really, really funny being surrounded by that and going through that. Yeah. So, the jury is the scariest part though. Like coming into, you have 12 people who don't understand your field, first of all. So they're looking at you and they'll ask you questions like, what is a byte, for example, and you need to get good at analogies because I'm not going to say, oh, a byte is a machine. Like, no, they're not going to understand.
A byte is 8 bits. What do you mean?
You already lost them. Like you have the 60-year-old, or mom or whatever, grandmother, whatever. And, maybe if they're younger, even younger people don't know what a byte is. Actually, we're one of the most technologically illiterate, unless you're a software engineer, we're very technologically illiterate generally. So I was like, okay, my name is Noris. Noris. That's 5 bytes, and that's how computers speak to each other essentially. Boom, they got it, they understood. We move on.
Very nice.
Time going in, and I was dying. I was sweating. But yeah, I didn't have it as bad as other people. I mean, I only went in I think once or twice, and other people had to do it a lot more.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, if any organization is looking to consult and looking for projects, man, DFS, Digital Forensic Services, and with the RCMP, they're using some ancient technologies. Like they could use some revamps. They could use AI too.
Right. I guess it's like a first. You know how they have like AI scanning like X-rays to just sift through a bunch of stuff to kind of identify what an actual person should look at, like just a pre-check. I imagine the people that like have to look at this stuff day after day. You remember that thing a couple of years ago that people who were like working for Facebook doing content moderation saying how everybody's getting PTSD because they see so much fucked up shit whenever they go through it. So I imagine it's kind of comparable,
Interesting. I didn't know that about Meta. Okay, interesting. But yeah, it is like, I mean, I'm pretty sure they have like intermittent psych evals and everything, stuff like that.
Hmm.
I wasn't there long enough to comment on it, but yeah, like there was a lot that I got to see. And then eventually, you mentioned spies, for example. So that's CSIS.
Hmm.
Those are the ones that deal with, okay, first of all, how many foreign agents are in our nation? And it's a surprisingly high amount in terms of our estimates. We're still tracking that down. But yeah, like there's a lot of foreign agents abroad, and because we're technically part of Five Eyes,
Commonwealth or Five Eyes, yeah, yeah.
yeah, Five Eyes. So there's a lot of intelligence sharing and whatnot. And surprisingly, CSE, for example, Communication Security Establishment of Canada, amazing, amazing organization. I mean, they have one mandate, right? Which is really nice. I don't remember what that mandate is. I'm pretty sure it's protection of Canada or something, but they have one mandate. So it's a single purpose. Very intelligent people. And then you had RCMP, which has like 50 mandates: protect the province, protect the people, protect the city. And each city has different regulations and different,
Hmm. Hmm.
let's say, fines and whatever. Annoying as hell. Like annoying to go through each, not detachment, but each unit, for example, will have a different way of like staffing and sourcing new recruits, for example, and training them. Um, Even Richmond to Burnaby, let's say, right? They're both RCMP, but there's different rules and regulations to the both of them, right? So each detachment will be different. So the RCMP, I have full on respect for them. It's really annoying what they do because you do need to understand the regulations you're dealing with. But goddamn, there's so many different like
It's just the red tape. So many
a
layers
lot.
of red
Yeah,
tape across everything, which is
yeah,
fair enough because ultimately, I guess you want everything to be done by the book. I think
yeah.
there's always this desire for like vigilantism where it's like, well, we know we did it. We could just go and like and kick in their doors and get them all right now. But you still need to do it all by the book. And at least as far as the like the cultural portrayal of it is like the criminals are always like laughing. It's like ha ha ha, you have your rules. Like what are gonna do over this? We don't have any rules. We can do whatever we want.
Hmm.
But like as a citizen, I would like to be certain and secure in the knowledge that they do actually follow rules. Although,
Yes, yeah,
sometimes
precisely.
maybe not really because nobody posts anything about like digital stuff, but like whenever you watch those dash cam videos or people like recording police interactions and how they abuse their powers at like like traffic
Hmm.
enforcement level, they power trip so hard. I imagine that like the higher the scope of your purview goes, the more power you have to abuse essentially. So it gets kind of scary.
That's the thing. I was coming into the RCMP, so I was with Microsoft at the time, and I decided to leave them to join the RCMP. Now, at the time, I was a bit not disgruntled, but I didn't like how. Yes, I mean, I regret leaving actually in some ways because I was surrounded by the smartest people, best technologies. I was living life, but at the time I was not valuing that. And I decided to join the RCMP because I was like, oh, I'm going to serve and protect. It's funny because when I joined the government, I was very naive and idealistic. Now I'm like super anti-establishment, like burn the government. We don't need them.
Are you cynical
Not
and
cynical,
jaded?
but I shouldn't say that. But like I understand the government and its purpose, but I've definitely become a lot more anti-establishment after working for the RCMP for sure. Not to say that they're doing bad work; they're doing great work. But grass is always greener on the other side. Let's say. So
I guess once you understand how the sausage is made, you know.
yeah, yeah, that's a good one actually. I like that. Yeah, definitely. Like once I came to the RCMP, I was like, oh my goodness. Um, Once again, on the law enforcement side, I think a lot of things are good. I think my problem was more on the development side where it just. I mean, maybe I'm throwing shade right now, but it really felt we had way like they kept hiring and hiring and hiring and hiring, and I was like, okay, but
Was it just part of COVID hiring madness or is it unrelated?
well, admittedly, you need to get clearance to work there. So it takes like
Hmm.
for me, like a year and a half for my clearance because I travel a lot. I go to a lot of places. I lived with a lot of people, especially at that time because I was doing uni, or just done uni. So stuff like that. They were like, okay, like what is this? Who is this? Why did you do this? Stuff like that. The CSIS field. They have a CSIS officer that will. They're a field investigator, so they'll call you and they'll be like, hey, you bad boy, why did you do this? When did you go? Stuff like that, right? They want to know you can't be extorted, you can't be blackmailed, you can't be bribed, kind of
So
deal.
there's no dirt on you that somebody might
Yeah, they want
have.
to see that you're like a
Yeah.
non-violent, very nice, polite person that's not gonna snitch government secrets, basically, which maybe I already have.
Yeah. Which
Uh,
makes sense. I mean, I kind of went
yeah.
through a similar process when I was so obviously, you know, when you apply for a Nexus card to go into States, there's like a series of interviews, which are fairly surface
I did
level.
one interview. What is this series? I did one.
So when I was doing it, they did 2 in the same day, and they were basically like, one guy asked me a set of questions, then they told me to wait, and then another guy asked me same set of questions, and I guess they were hoping to catch me in some discrepancies between the two, like if I'm full of shit, which is pretty smart. And then I got my thing.
It's US and Canada. So the US side will interview you first, I think, and then the Canadian side. I think. I only did one interview though.
I did mine like 10 years ago, so it keeps changing. And then the other one was when we were starting a business that had to do with gambling, so we had to do a background checks with the gaming policy enforcement branch, where they also did like some sort of background checks on our founder team to sort of see if we are some crooks who want to open an illegal casino or something like that.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. But
oh no, the last one, not necessarily in order, but the one for like the firearms license, where they also like to check into your affairs and like call your friends.
They have to. I mean, like that. Yeah, they have to, of course. We don't want you coming into the US style school shooting kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
But do you know Alexei?
But then if I want to get an illegal gun, there's none of that.
Well, that's what we want to, right? But do you know Alexei Iskrov?
Yes, I do know him. I haven't chatted with him in a while, but I do know him, yeah.
He's great. He's fantastic. But it was really funny talking to him because I think he is from... he's ex-Soviet. I think I could
He's former Soviet Union, yeah. We can put it that way.
And all the 2 or 3 other co-founders are also ex-Soviet. So he's like, yes, I want to get in with... So yeah, he came up to me and he was like, hey, listen, I want to get more with the US government. And I was like, I mean, sure. I mean, I can try. Where are you from? Like, tell me a bit about you and yourself. And he told me, yeah, I'm ex-Soviet country. And my 3 other co-founders are ex-Soviet countries. And I was like, man, you guys are on a watch list and you guys don't even know it. Like, I'm not... What do you guys want me to do to help you? I still asked. Like, I have friends in government contracting firms. And I was just like, maybe you can give some advice or something. Like, and they were like, you told us yourself they're ex-Soviet. Like, we can't. Like, they need to be a citizen, first of all. Or at least minimum Canadian. Like, so that was really, really funny dealing with Alexei and that. Yeah, so I told him. Game over.
So I'm ex-Soviet too. I guess that closes a lot.
I'm also ex-Soviet. I'm Romanian. Yeah. So
yeah.
Look at that. So much in common.
This is all a KGB plot, comrade. Yeah.
Yeah. I came in to infiltrate. Yeah, exactly. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, lots of love to the RCMP. They have some really smart people. I will say this positive note regarding Microsoft engineers and RCMP software engineers. There's really no difference. They're both equally smart, let's say. But it's just the incentive levels, the incentivization are very, very different, I would say. Yeah.
So the people are more idealistic that serve at RCMP, you would say?
I think in some ways. I think they're also... I don't want to say idealistic. I think when you join, perhaps you're ideal. Most people that joined came out of school, actually. So they were desperate. Nothing else going for them, right? So, but I think the work culture and all that was very nice for them. So they decided to stick. But I think it's just the incentivization, like in Microsoft, KPIs and all this, like that stuff, they do take it quite serious, and promotions are a thing there. Whereas in the RCMP, you have to wait for budget, wait for the government to improve in order to get promoted. Like, you do go up a step, but let's say ITO 2 to ITO 3, yeah, good luck, 5 to 10 year deal kind of, right? A career, like RCMP person or government individual.
Does that create a lot of churn for them? Because like people see, like,
I don't know.
Microsoft's in town, whatever, Apple's in town, they're paying like these exorbitant US-based salary. So like, what's holding me here? Just the fact that cybersecurity at a country level is completely fucked, and without us, we're like the last bastion in between them and everybody else? Or like, how does that play out?
No, I think it's just you get... The thing is, our mind would rather manage like familiar anxieties rather than confront new ones. And I think once you join the government, you get into this kind of mindset where you just don't want to... You get comfortable, man. That's about it. You just get comfortable. I mean, same with anybody else. I knew people who were career Microsoft people, and they didn't want to switch out because it's funny because they're always changing. There's this evolution to technology, but they were like career Microsoft, which good for them. I mean, I don't know. I was not like that. I mean, I'm on like 4 different organizations now that I've worked for. So, like, maybe that sounds really bad. That sounds like a job hopper, but like, It's just what
I
happened. It's
think
not
these
something I
days,
chose.
if you change jobs once every couple of years, that's kind of normal.
I think
Be
so too.
expected.
Well, I was contracting, so usually it's like 6 months kind of deal.
Yeah, yeah. So how do they like? They did not like recruit you. You just decided to kind of like. How does that even work? Do you just like come in into their office and be like, "Hey, I want to work for you guys"? Like, how does one
Oh, the
begin?
RCMP.
Yeah.
I was lucky. Oh, so I had a specialization. I had exactly what they were looking for. They were someone who knew Microsoft Business applications, so Azure, Dataverse, whatever it's called, Power Platform, stuff like that. They needed someone who had that expertise, but also engineering, like coding kind of stuff, not like just no code, low code, or whatever. So they got in touch with me I think it was October or November of 2022. I did all the interviews by December. We started the process for clearance in January. January, February is when the process started. Like I filled out all the forms and then we shipped it. I had one call with CSIS June of 2023. I was in Rome in Italy at the time. It was funny because that CSIS guy was like, "Oh, that's funny because my grandfather's Italian." And then we started talking about like that was most of the conversation right there.
Mm-hmm.
June of 2023, and then I finally got an offer letter end of September 2023. So
Wow. So it takes a
yeah,
really long time.
took a while for me. Yeah, well, it's still less than a year, but it took a while for me specifically because some people 6 months because they never left like I don't know Surrey or whatever, which is in British Columbia. But for someone like me, like my mom is from Maharashtra, India. My dad is from Timișoara, Romania, where the revolution started. I'm from Galați, Romania. I have 3 different citizenships, right? Like so, someone like me, it was like, okay, we gotta check this boy out, basically. So yeah, it took a
Who's
while.
not to say that you're some sort of deep cover agent, Splinter Cell type thing?
Yeah, who knows? But actually, I loved it. I loved talking to the people there. So that was the process. Although it took a very long time, I really enjoyed every single minute of it. Funny enough.
Mm-hmm. So then, once it all came through, and I understand that you don't necessarily can talk about all of it, but like, what was your first task? It's like it's not like, oh, go figure out this cybercrime ring or whatever. It's probably something way more benign.
No, once again, I started off in engineering, basically, right? I helped them. They wanted to, how I mentioned earlier how each unit has a different way of staffing.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make that simpler. So how do we do that? So I was a part of that mission. So they had come up with a solution. The problem is that because there's something called departmental security. So they have to make sure that the technologies don't have any risks involved. And they literally go down down to the version number. Like it needs to be secure. Like they are pen testing, making sure it's secure. So that's one aspect of it. So I had to communicate with them. And they're still vetting AI and all those systems, for example. Then you had the other side where so I'm trying to kind of help them integrate these systems. So that was my start. And it was pretty interesting because I think we finished quite a bit ahead. I think we finished 7. So I think I joined that project in January of 2024. And yeah, 3-4 months later, we were done basically. I mean, we done testing. I had to start setting up processes for them because they had like no testing. Now, Microsoft is funny because their whole QA team, guess where it is? It's in India, just like most firms that are like that. We have our QA team in India. They get to check and vet everything because it's, affordable. Whereas in RCMP, we didn't have those luxuries. And a lot of the people that were there, I don't know why, but we were not testing because QA teams also give you, down to the minutia of the problem. Whereas we had BAs and project coordinators who sadly were not technical. And so they would say, hey, listen, we have an issue here, fix it. And I think it was like me and another dev basically. And it was like, man, we have an enterprise level project and 2 devs. I was like, okay, I mean, we'll try and figure it out basically. Like it got to a point where when we finished the project, we had so many bugs. I mean, we had 40, 50, 60 in the backlog and it just kept going up, 100. Like it just kept going up and it was like, okay, we're never going to finish this basically. Funny enough, around that time is basically when I shifted over to cybersecurity.
It's like, okay,
So,
I'm washing my hands off of this nonsense.
but we were done. We were done. And then they wanted to add an extension. So in the same application, they wanted to add like training modules and all that for each unit. Because once again, they have different ways of like training and whatever. So I was like, oh man, like I don't know how you guys are going to do this because most of the things aren't even vetted by departmental security. We have to create this crappy little thing in C# and see if it works, completely custom. And it's like, we can't even use Power Platform for this. Like, we use the CRM or whatever to like, I don't know, I don't know actually what it's for. Why are we using a CRM at that point? But yeah, I mean, listen, the government, I was solutions developer, but they never gave me that because the project already started. It's really hard coming in halfway through and be like, no, we can't do change this, change that. And I was very young at the time, so I didn't feel comfortable in that position to say those things. But actually, looking back, one thing I should have done better was holding my ground and saying, no, we should do this. I am the expert here. I know this technology. Let's do it this way. And I think things would have gone a lot, actually, maybe in the short term they would have hurt, but in the long term they would have benefited the RCMP a lot better. Because I'm that like, okay, because I am a big believer in enjoyment is efficiency. So if we are enjoying our development workflow, we are going to be doing better. We're going to be developing better code, stuff like that. So how can we make this enjoyable? Stuff like that. And there was just so many frustrations left and right. Like I even remember the other dev, he was a colleague of mine, and we were just like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, what is going on here? Like, we couldn't keep up. We could not keep up. We had a team lead who had more meetings with Ottawa and was, we would have stand-up. It was 30-minute stand-up, which would go into become an hour, 45 minutes that was talking about what they did last night or whatever, the last 2 nights, like stuff that nobody cares about, which is great. Some people love that work culture, but I really wish that I'd stepped in and said, hey, listen, like,
we can actually get some shit done here.
No, we were getting things done. It was just, we were doing it. We were getting things done. It's just, I wish that I had said, hey, listen, like, this is just not the way it should be. Like, we need to start, like, this technology, we did something with C# plugins. I should have said, no, we got to shift this into, like, data lake or something. We got to shift all this data somewhere else, consolidate it, then move forward. This is going to save us a lot of time, money, and energy going forward. I didn't do that. And I look back and it's like, I should have taken more ownership, basically. And that's the trap of government right there. Because you keep thinking how Justin Trudeau is the problem or whatever. Like, you keep thinking, like, this is not my problem. And I look back and I completely think, man, I could have absolutely done so much more, so much better, and I didn't.
Yeah. Oh, man. Did you ever watch that show called Utopia about, like, it's like
I've
a
heard of
fake
it.
drama about Australian government?
Oh, it's like office politics and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, it's just like the bureaucracy at its worst. It's so unbelievably cringe, but it's so unbelievably true. It's just like, oh man.
We had that at CyberX, right? Remember at some point Alex Dow was like,
yeah.
Yes, we have recovery equipment, but the last person who knew how to use it retired 5 years ago. Welcome to the RCMP. Like, nobody, like, what? So, yeah, stuff like that.
So yeah, like, okay, like you wrapped up your project, you started shifting towards cybersecurity. Was it easy to get like a lateral movement across teams once you're in the organization?
Oh yeah, they're super good about that. I mean, 80% of government positions are actually internal, even though they might not post it. They don't necessarily post it externally. And yeah, I mean, you just get to know people. If you're going into the office, I mean, each floor has different departments, so you just get to know people and you just go from there. And randomly, you just meet somebody. And you're like, cool. Like, I know you're looking for somebody. This is my background.
I guess you get to know people since you're so at ease.
Social butterfly. Yeah, no, actually, at some point, it actually became an issue because I was like, I'm a case study on why remote work is better in some ways because I just will keep talking and I was like, oh my God, I'm getting no work done.
Just too chummy with everybody?
It's a balance you have to hit, right? It's just, I need to figure myself out, basically.
So then, like, once you switch to the cyber side, what you ended up doing there, in as few details as you are allowed to tell us.
Oh, on the cyber side. So, okay, let's make it very clear. As a solutions developer, I was already thinking about security in terms of AppSec. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but a lot of what I was taught in university is called the ASVS protocol, right? Application Security Verification Standard. And that's what I based myself, I mean, it's version like 1.0 or something. But that was what I was doing, and I was making sure that the code we were shipping, because Power Platform, yes, it's quite secure, but I believe in defense in depth, so why not make 92% of vulnerabilities are software-based, right? Not network-based. So I was like, let's just make sure we're secure, right? So Shifting
Out of the
into
ones that are not human based.
yes, of course, not including the human side of the things. But yeah, then I got into so cybercrime, right? So there is a unit called DFS, which is a one aspect of it. But cybercrime
So
specifically,
that's the digital forensics, right?
there's digital forensics, yes, and they deal with a lot of the. Let's say we have a hard drive that we pulled up for evidence. Someone needs to go through it, stuff like that. We could get a smartwatch, for example, and we could find time of death, for example, based off your smartwatch.
Oh, like from
Even,
the pulse reading or something.
yeah. I mean, all the sensors that are there. There are so many different. I think a lot of people do know this, but that are in digital forensics, of course. But there are domains within digital forensics. Like we had smartwatch experts, we had blockchain experts, we had mobile. Even within mobile, who was better at iPhone versus Android because they're different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like we had like forensic, even digital forensics had specialists within them. And it's a burgeoning field. If you're looking for a new field, I think there's no way that is going to get replaced by AI. That really, really requires a human touch.
Should people be horrified about like the size of the digital footprint that they leave inadvertently with their smart devices?
God, yes. Oh God, yeah. Of course. I mean, even deleted stuff, we can still find out, right? Like, you have a master. Like, for example, whatever you're storing in terms of data, even if you delete it, there's still remnants of that, right?
Unless you like scrub it using professional software, which most people are not even aware of. That's the thing you need.
Even with professional software, you need to do it. In Canada, we wipe our drives 3 times. In the US, they do it 7 times.
Jesus.
Just to make it very clear, like you really, really, really need to scrub your data in order to make sure that it's clean. And then of course, because sometimes they get rid of hard drives, right? But yeah, they're wiping it basically. So yeah, it's a process, and yeah, even if it's deleted, like we can find it. Don't worry about it.
And it's kind of funny because back in the day, pre non-volatile drives like SSDs and whatnot, where everything's on spinning disks, you can just get one of those industrial magnets and like zap it and basically get the job done.
Yeah, there's a word for it. I forgot what the word is called, but yeah, you basically destroy the hard drive. You can't
like hysteresis.
No, it's called like, I don't want to say, it's not degaussing.
Oh, degaussing. It is degaussing.
It is degaussing? Okay, yeah.
Like the same technology you would use to degauss your TV, if everyone even has any idea of what the hell I'm talking about.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't have a TV either, so whatever. Okay.
But like that was specific for CRT TV, like a cathode ray tube. Like if you bring a magnet to the screen, like it would mess up and like it would get like all weird, and then you bring a degausser and just like zap it. So you would zap the hard drive and it would do the same thing because it's all magnetic. But with SSDs, like
there's no moving parts.
There's no moving parts. There's no magnetic components to it. You tell the controller on a disk to delete something. It's like, yeah, I deleted it. Like that's all good, but like it actually didn't. So in terms of recovery for SSDs, it's probably much easier in some aspects, but harder in others. But yeah, it's kind of nuts.
You got it, mate.
So yeah, use full disk encryption on all of your shit as much as possible.
Yeah, now the UK and I think Apple, right? They have fully disabled disk encryption or something like that.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's minimal. Encryption is minimal.
The encroachment in that area is really sad to see. But what was I going to mention? Oh, like I think Google said that in their new Android update, the phones that have been not interacted with for a certain period of time will like reboot automatically to like wipe from memory like all the key material and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Kind of combat if you're in possession of someone's phone that is on, you could still do some attacks on like DMA, read out memory, like freeze the memory chips or whatever. But they would like force it to reboot if it wasn't interacted with to kind of prevent that from happening, which strengthens its security. So it's a good thing for people who want to keep their shit safe, but it's a bad thing for investigators who want to get stuff out of it. But again, it needs to be balanced because I don't want anybody to just be able to randomly see my stuff on my phone through some Celebrite or whatever else from Israel that they buy all these tools to like hack into people's phones.
Yeah. It's funny. I have a friend who runs a firm and they do, well, digital forensics essentially. But it's really, one thing the guy told me was like, yeah, if anyone asked me, hey, I forgot the passcode to my iPhone, it's like, okay, we know this person stole the iPhone and is looking to figure out the passcode, basically, like stuff like that. So they have like a no-go on that type of stuff. Yeah,
Hmm.
interesting hearing that.
Yeah, yeah, but like I mean, you can get you you can get a copy of Celebrite on dark web and but the 600-page manual that comes with it. So if you're
It's not that
technically
hard.
savvy, you
Celebrite
can
is
probably
great.
figure it out.
Celebrite is so easy. Like I think it's so easy to use because it's made for that type of stuff, right? You just
Yeah,
like
exactly.
in 4 clicks. It's literally, I think. I mean, you load up, which is 2 clicks. Click, what is it? It's not scrape. I don't remember. And then you just click which file you kind of want. Like as long as you know where to go within the folders and stuff like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't think at least Celebrate that I used a year and a half ago or whatever. I don't know how it is now. And also Magnet.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many good tools. X-Ways, a bunch of good tools.
right, right. Do you ever have like moral qualms about
Yes.
software of that power being out there in
Yes.
general? Like it's one
Yeah.
thing when like a government, like it even makes me queasy when the government uses it, but like if it gets into random people's hands, that's like so scary.
No, I do. I absolutely do. I mean, I had a crisis last year, even like, what the hell? Where is AI going to go? Like, we're about to destroy people's lives. Basically, we're not thinking about it. And I was like, do I want to continue in this? But then once again, I mean, we talked about this where blaming and pointing fingers didn't get anybody anywhere. So I might as well just try and be there and try and educate people, see what can happen. And there are positive things. And how do we focus on the positive aspect? But yes, I do think specifically regarding AI, God damn it. Like, I don't know where we're going to go with it. I don't know why. For example, Microsoft's like, it's going to clean our atmosphere. It's going to whatever. Okay, great. I don't know how Satya Nadella, like, he's got a big head. Don't get me wrong. Probably
Yeah, yeah.
power, lots of computations going in there per minute. But how do you know that? How do you know that this is going to solve like global warming or whatever, stuff like that? And
Dude, I
I don't
remember
know, man.
the air downtown Moscow in late 90s. It was horrible. Like we managed to clean up our
Hmm.
atmosphere without AI fairly well. So like there's marginal returns to be gained there, if at all. So I don't even think that that's as big of a problem as they think it is, but that's besides the point.
It should be used as supplement. I think right now AI is kind of like perfect in some ways because it hasn't really taken. It has in some ways taken jobs, but it's used as an assistant. Once again, software engineers. We have been a bottleneck for supply in terms of like the supply chain for a lot of companies for a very, very long time. So if AI can come and supplement software engineers and help make their workflow faster, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is making the workflow faster. I mean, I myself have used it. I think it's fantastic. Do I think it's perfect? Absolutely not. Like even I can do a code review and I know when they're using AI and when it's not AI written. And I can tell. And once again, I mean, this is a software engineer. Code review is probably the most difficult, arguably the most difficult skill to train as a
Well,
software.
yeah, because
I
you
need to
have to
think
get
about.
context on the thing you didn't write.
Yeah, that's one. But two, I'm running the code in my head and thinking, okay, how is this actually going to work? Kind of deal. So yeah, like we've gotten to that point where AI is so insanely predictable, and these patterns are going to continue to proliferate. And then what? We're going to have breaches left and right once hackers find out what are the patterns.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like all the vibe coding that's happening right now in like a couple of years, I'll be there collecting
Yeah,
seven-figure
I told you
salary to
so.
clean up their shit, right?
Well, okay. I will say this. This is my take on vibe coding. It's great for MVPs. Like if you want to get something like you want your go-to-market, something to show to people, perfect. Vibe code it because you're not really going to use it anyways. You want an established application? No. You need a technical co-founder. You need a system in place. You cannot. My opinion. As of right now, when are we recording this? 2025. As of right now,
2025 May.
next year, Skynet. I don't know what could happen, right? I mean, why do you think OpenAI only has 100 people, right? They're betting big that AGI is coming. Like they very much live and breathe by that phenomenon that they are going to be an AI-driven company, full on. So who knows what's going to happen, right?
I too welcome our benevolent robotic overlords.
We don't know, right? We do have something called the Doomsday AI theory, which has been taught since like the 80s, right? And that Doomsday AI theory, nobody really talks about it, which is really funny because it's taught in university, right? So,
I mean, I remember reading the short fiction novel when I was a kid. So it was like in the late 80s, and it was probably written in like 60s or 70s, where, you know, they finished the construction of this machine that is supposedly an AI, and they ask it the question like, is there a god? And it answers, there is now. And then everything just goes to shit entirely, and that's where the story ends. So I mean, AI has been like, conceptually, AI and thoughts about AI and its consequences have been around since like the 60s, maybe if not 50s. So none of it is new. We just reached technologically the capacity to actually do it. But from the actual idea perspective, a lot of people had a lot of things to say about it so far back that we probably forgot most of it by now.
Yeah, and once again, I mean, there are so many good things about AI. I just don't think that I'm just worried that these enterprises are going to get to a point where they're just pushing it so hard without really, they're just thinking about profit margins, but then not really like about the people behind it. I was at NKST Cyber CISO conference, and Chester from Sophos, one thing he said that was really interesting was that, okay, we're using AI now, but then what's going to happen to our talent pipeline?
That was the next thing I was going to bring, is that like what's the word I'm looking for? You know, the dynasty, like one replaces the next one and the next one, the succession, right?
Yeah.
So the succession of engineers, like if you tell all juniors, okay, we have AI to replace you now, bye-bye, where are you going to get your seniors from 5 years down the line? They just won't exist.
Exactly. Yes, precisely.
So yeah, it's a really interesting situation. I mean, as the Chinese curse goes, may you live in interesting times. And I believe that we definitely have been living in interesting times. So
yeah,
I don't
know. Look at the positive side. Yeah, look at the positive side. Huh? It's beautiful. It's great. I mean, I get to, you know, whenever I don't know how to write an email, I just throw it into ChatGPT. I'm like, hey, listen, can we shorten this? Like, oh.
But that, okay, so I was gonna kind of go into that, but like, what do you think about the whole dead internet theory? It's just like robots talking to other robots for like 80% of all the content on the internet.
I saw that video of like two robots talking in like lead speak or whatever. But that is such an edge case right there. Like,
no, but I mean mostly like, okay, like you told ChatGPT to generate some content, and then you sent it to some other person, and that person told ChatGPT to summarize it because they can't be bothered to be reading the whole thing. So effectively, the two humans in that equation are just conduits for two robots talking to one another. It's like,
oh god, yeah, LinkedIn. This is LinkedIn right now. Like LinkedIn.
Oh man, LinkedIn's such a dumpster fire.
And then the AI generated comments because people are like trying to pretend like they're an expert in something that they're not. And I'm just looking at this. I'm like, I know that you're using AI, man. Like I know. I don't. It's funny because I had all this AI software to catch cheating and all that. Hire me, man. I'll take a look. You have any idea how much AI generated code I've looked at in the last year? Like, I will go in and I will know whether the student is cheating or not in like 5 to 10 seconds. I know because I can tell by just show me a report of when before AI came out and show me a report after AI came out. I'm gonna know, man, because nobody just becomes like this, you know, Aristotle all of a sudden overnight, basically, right? So
did you watch that South Park episode they did about ChatGPT? No. Oh, it was so good. You should check it out. But it's like basically
like reels, basically. I never actually.
Yeah. No, but that one was like really on point. But the whole thing is, I have a strong opinion that if you use these types of tools, you never actually learn anything yourself. And I base it on a very benign example of driving using a Maps application on my phone. Like, I do not remember how I drove from point A to point B if I use the map that tells me where to go.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because that does affect your memory. I mean, I just use
like you completely defer it to something else. Like, why would you even bother remembering what it told you? You got your answer now. Like, you're done with it, right? Like, but you haven't struggled through it to kind of leave an imprint on your brain. You typed in some stuff, you copy pasted some stuff, and now you're done. You haven't learned shit. That's why I'm kind of jokingly saying that these days when I do code reviews, I give feedback to the person, but the code is written by the AI, and the AI does not get that feedback, so that loop is never fully closed, and they keep producing the same stupid shit every time I see this exact same stuff. I'm like, didn't we talk about this? It's like, yeah, we did, but I talked with the person, but the code was written by AI.
Okay, yeah, I mean, okay. I think AI is great though for the okay. People need to get disciplined. It's a people issue. It's not an AI issue.
Yeah, it's not an AI
On
issue. It's
what they're
like
using it for. Like for me, what I really enjoy using AI for, it's my teacher. It's my best teacher. In order for me to stay up to date on technology, I can't keep up. Now Selenium got released. This was another AI framework, another thing. And I'm like, in the last 6 months, we've progressed more in terms of technologies than we have in the prior 5 years. I can't keep. So what have I done? I switched to AI. Perplexity, deep research, or whatever else. ChatGPT is also really great. I'm just like, listen, give me the overview, and stuff like that, and then I'll delve into it. It'll get me curious, and then rather than spending a full day, in 1 to 2 hours, I can do what I used to have to research in a full day, basically. So,
man, I'm feeling old.
Oh,
I think
damn.
I'm legitimately old.
Oh man, like, I mean, I have to, right? So.
I'd like to be at the stage where I could use all these things for all that purpose, but I can't just bring myself up to it. So I think I'm officially old. I'm being outmoded by the next generation.
You got to adapt, mate.
Damn.
Anyways, that's what I'm using.
I'm too old and lazy to adapt by now. So I think that's how it goes. When you're young, you think like, I'll never be like this. I'll always be on the bleeding edge. And now I look at it, it's like, fuck, I don't really want to be on the bleeding edge anymore. I'm already on the bleeding edge as it is. It's like, how much more blood do I have to suffer to remain there?
You got to shift out. When you become a director, mate, then you get to tell other people what to upskill. I will say this though. Yeah, AI, you can use it for positive things. It just depends on the people. Like, but also imagine you come into a conference. And it's, I know people who do this. I know people who go into ChatGPT like, oh, what should I respond to what this person said and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, like if you're in a conference, we're not using AI right now. I don't have a teleprompter or anything. You know what I mean? Like this is a genuine conversation. There's no AI.
Right.
In order to develop skills, you can use AI to maybe help you with like emotional intelligence. Let's say like, hey, I'm being an asshole in this email. How do I soften it? And then maybe over time you'll develop those skills. But at the end of the day, it's between you and me, man. Communication, right? That's going to be the most important thing in business and software engineering.
Right. I mean, like the AI will produce a summary at the end of this conversation, kind of telling us what we were talking about. So that's cool. But yeah.
It's, also, the transcript thing is really cool, right? Like with Riverside, I think, or maybe I'm thinking of another software, but you can remove words and it'll automatically do the editing for you.
I think so. I don't do the video editing in Riverside itself. I just use it to record it, to make the participants on the podcast, like the guests, to make guest lives easier because they don't have to set anything up. Because before it's like, oh, you have to download OBS, you have to configure it a certain way, you have to send me the file. It put all this friction in there. But now they click a link, they turn on their webcam or not, as we've seen today, and they're pretty much ready to go. So I haven't used the editor. I still prefer to edit it manually, which is, again, right? Like they have this AI tool inside of it that can edit the whole thing for you. And I'm like, I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way just because I enjoy the process, you know?
Beautiful.
That's another sign that I'm getting old, or already got old. Well, I don't know. Anything else that comes to mind last minute? Because I think this is probably a good point to wrap it up for this one.
I think you might as well milk me while I'm here, but you mentioned, hey, I don't know, how is this guy a social butterfly and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, how are you a social butterfly? Because I've been talking to computers for so long that I really think that if you talk to computers for a long time in your life, it like leaves an imprint, and it does make you more autistic in a sense, because you're so comfortable talking to machines compared to people. I'm comfortable talking to people that I know, but like putting myself into a conversation, like there would be like some people talking about something and I would come in and like say hello and then I just stand there and they'd be talking to one another and I just stand there and kind of look at the speaker and like don't really contribute anything. It's like, okay, this is awkward, I better fuck off, you know?
That's fine. You can also just listen, and it just depends. I mean, I used to give the advice to people like, just be yourself. But the problem is that some people don't have those like established social, like they don't have the.
But that's me being myself. I'm just standing there absorbing the information.
Like, bro, get out of there. Bro, get out of there. Like, I remember seeing that. I'm like, bro, get out of there. What are you doing? What are you doing? I think it's always going to come down to, there are two phases, and it's always going to come down to three things in both phases. So first phase is know yourself, like yourself, be comfortable with yourself. You got these three down? Okay. which is hard. And this is always changing. You're always changing as a person. Your personality changes over time. You always need to stay at that, knowing yourself, and stuff like that. And then it's phase 2, right? And this is very particular for a man, especially. And then everything else kind of falls into place where, so be comfortable with yourself, know where you're going, have fun while you're doing it. Okay? If you're in a position and you don't enjoy it, maybe leave that situation. Now, sometimes you're going to be in situations like, okay, I just have to get this over with. But right, I do grocery shopping.
But I guess I'm talking about like the situations that you voluntarily put yourself into. It's not like you're obligated to be there.
Yeah. No. We'll get there because everything kind of builds off itself. And the thing is, at some point, you get exposed to more and more situations, and you just get more and more comfortable with it. Essentially, it's just essentially comfort, and it's exposure therapy. If you're an introvert, don't go twice a day to a networking event. Go like once a week, or maybe even once every 2 weeks, for example. And you just build it over time. Over time, you build it. Personalities. This whole introvert extrovert thing is people use it as like a limiting factor. Like, oh, I'm an introvert. And
no,
you're an introvert.
I always treat it differently. Like to me, an extrovert recharges in presence of other people, and introverts recharge in absence of other people.
And I'm both. Yeah, and I think it's really important to also get comfortable with both. But it just takes time, really. It's like years of just exposure therapy. Just as getting coding is just,
the more you do it, the better you become. No, that's
exactly
fair. Like exposure is a very huge thing. I completely agree there. And I think that, and again, maybe I'm sort of hyping myself out of things, but like post-COVID, the whole meetup scene kind of tanked, and it's only starting to come back together. So being aware of the events and going there. And I used to live much closer to downtown, so it was much easier to just show up at random events. Now that I have to take 40 minutes driving in traffic and like park my car, it's like, oh, fuck this. I'm not doing that, So it's a self-inflicted wound, basically.
You don't have transit, or?
Well, from here to nearest transit is like half an hour. If I take transit to get to SkyTrain, that's half an hour. I mean, I could probably drive and park my car by transit, but it turns into this whole like hour and a half one-way thing.
Yeah.
It's just not a time investment that I'm kind of willing to make at those scales. Like if it takes 20 minutes to get to the place and come back, then it's way more realistic. So it is what it is. But that's why I'm doing this. At least I get some of it this way.
It's good. Also, like, if you spend time with people like me, for example, I'll give an example of another guy who's a founder. He is an introvert. His girlfriend is an extrovert. And he loves it because before he was like 30% extrovert or whatever. They're like personality tests. And now he's like 65, or no. Now he's like 45% extrovert. And it's like literally like the only thing that's changed, the only denominator that has changed is his girlfriend.
His relationship.
And is the people.
I'm in the same position too. If it wasn't for her friends and desire to do shit, I'd just be spending all of my time at home. I'm pretty sure.
That's wild.
Because I enjoy it here, Like I don't feel like it. The thing is like I don't feel that there's necessarily anything wrong with that. I can derive a lot of enjoyment and contentment out of just working on my own projects at home. But then sometimes I get this thought is like, it would be nice to do these things as well, because it feels like there's like only one side of my life that is kind of completed by these things. So it obviously there needs to be balance. So thankfully, I have people that are a forcing function for me to like lift my ass and do something. So that's great.
Yeah, I mean, there's also no obligation to like, I don't know, be like me, let's say, or right? Like at the end of the day, if you're happy and comfortable with yourself, that's it. But if you want to become more social, spend more time with people like me, right? At the end of the day. And also keep in mind, like, and this isn't for you, but for people in general, like nobody changes out of shame, right? So you kind of need to trust yourself that you're going to be able to do this and, go out, take that step into like, let's say a networking event or whatever, and just say hi, basically. I mean, it's really hard in Vancouver specifically, I've noticed, because Vancouver, I'm sorry to say it, but it is a bit of a boys' club and boys and girls' club in some ways, where it's like,
is it snobby?
Because people who are already there are already so insecure. They're so insecure to introduce new people sometimes. It's kind of like that. It's like this one big bubble of like everybody's like, I don't know how to interact with other human beings. Then you meet someone like me who loves inviting other people or who loves talking to other people. Like I just come in and then I just you saw it I was
exactly. It was
like,
just
I just came in, I know
you know.
being in like a circle of CISOs, and I was like, guys, what are we doing this weekend? One of them was hiking, and I was like, yo, and it was Vivek.
Yeah.
So can I come? Like we went hiking together.
I think
Way more
everyone's
than me.
just so stunned by the proposition that they can't even come up with a way of telling you no, which is cool.
Well, it's also like I was in B-Sides Calgary, so I spoke there, and one lady was like, okay, how do you introduce yourself? Like how do you do this? Now there were two things. First of all, she said she was a girl, and she kept saying, I'm a, oh, I'm shy, I'm this and that. And I'm like, don't worry about that, okay? Shyness is the ornamentation of women. It's fine. It's not on you. There's also a bit of a societal thing at play here. It's not just worry about it, right? But the second side of it, I literally told her, my intro is, hi, my name is Noris. There's nothing special. I change it according to the situation. Like if I see someone who's very sharply dressed, I'll make a joke and I'll be like, looking good, man. Boom, we get into a conversation, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's about fashion. That has happened sometimes in networking events. It's pretty funny because I know nothing about fashion. I'm wearing a black t-shirt right now and that's it. But, they're just like, oh, like you just get to connect in some way. And I think it's just developing that connection. If you just say hi, I even went into, I remember my first Isaka event. I literally went to, I was like, guys, I'm new here. I don't know anybody. I'm scared and I'm shy. Please say hi to me. I just said that to the whole room. There were like 30, 40 people there. And I was like, no problem, man. Like everyone started talking to me after that.
I think that for most part, it's I don't know if it's an apt analogy, but like the whole dark forest thing. Like if you announce your presence, you're gonna get destroyed, so everyone's kind of pulling back. But in fact, it's opposite. People actually, I think that people do want to have a connection. Maybe I don't know. I have some romantic notions, which may or not may be true.
Yeah,
but I think people broadly want to have a connection, especially
they do.
We keep talking about the social aloneness epidemic right now, that it plays out on many different levels in society.
Well, there's so many cool juxtapositions in life right now. Like we have never had it better, right? We have hot showers, we have electricity, we have food, we have everything. And I think my generation, right, Gen Z is like the most like, we're screwed, we're gonna die or whatever. And it's like, we're doing,
woe is me.
We're doing fine. And now I'm getting into this phase in my life where now I'm hanging a lot more with people who do make, now I grew up poor, Romania, Indian and Romania, coming to Canada, not exactly a recipe for wealth, like we were broke. So, coming from that and then now hanging out with, these, let's say, wealthier people, how humble and sweet they can be and how much they do actually want to help. But then we sadly put them maybe on a pedestal, or we're on the other side where we like...
Or it's like a resentment. It's like, how dare they have more money than I do?
Yes, exactly. And it's so interesting to me, like living here in Vancouver and Canada in general, where people kind of just expect... It's entitlement. I think it's a bit of a first world problem where it's this entitlement where I want money, I don't really want to work for it, and that's the problem. Like I did not become the way I am just because I was born like this. I came out of the womb and I was talking to people. No, it took time, right? Exposure therapy, going out, putting myself out there, being outside of my comfort zone, and have people that can help you, have people that maybe you can talk to, maybe journalists, stuff like that. There's a lot of tips and tricks I can give. I mean, that whole thing is just a whole...
If the whole security shtick doesn't work out, you can always go to be a personality coach or something.
Well, that's why I'm in business development too, right? I'm helping a couple of people develop their businesses because that's what I'm good at. I'm good at, okay, I met this person, they'd be perfect for you kind of deal in terms of... Because startups are recruitment firms in reality.
Yeah.
Good people. So that's one aspect. So I'm always on the hunt for like, who is someone that I can see that is hungry and is going to help us out and has a, the mind for this. And, also thinking about operations, how to make good processes, how to make things smooth. And once again, enjoyment is efficiency. So at the end of the day, if people are coming out of a meeting, they said that was a 5 out of 5 meeting, you are going to be doing very, very well in the next year, basically kind of deal. If you can keep that up, that's where your ROI is going to be coming from. If a sales team feels like, this was garbage, 0 out of 5, I hate my life, you are not going to be doing well. Your sales cycles are going to suck. But, it all comes down to who your team is and the chemistry that there, and every team is different. You need to figure out what is the chemistry there. We're kind of shifting gears a bit, but yeah, that's
fine.
Makes would work. There's just a lot to go through. I mean, we can even go to the engineering side, which is just such a different aspect. It works different from any other team whether it's UX, UI, even your normal like SOC team or digital forensics team or whatever, a software engineering team is this whole other different thing, right? Where you are responsible for so much, making the business money, being the best that you can be, communicating value. And what's the hardest thing in software engineering? Communication, right? I mean, think about CrowdStrike and the fact that they released this update, which, now it wasn't necessarily their fault, but like, Rivian.
It was a series of unfortunate events. But
yeah, CrowdStrike, Rivian, Okta, like all these places, like you push to production. Well, guess what? That's communication, right? Right there at the end of the day, that's the basis of it. And it's tough. Not only Vancouver, it's everywhere where it's difficult.
Right on. Well, that tells me that there's plenty more to talk about. So maybe there will be part 2 to this, or maybe
part 2 of the podcast. Yeah. I was a bit surprised you didn't bring it up earlier. We talked more about AI than.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, I mean, this whole thing, as you mentioned, there's no AI, there's no teleprompter. It's all free form. We take it wherever it goes. Because the conversation was good. It was interesting, right? And the other thing, if everything works out, we'll be at B-Sides Vancouver in a couple of weeks. Maybe we'll do something cool out there. TBD.
Interviews.
So once it happens, yes, it'll be on either my channel or your channel or wherever, and
or both.
It's gonna be fun. Or both, yeah.
Are you coming to Web Summit by any chance or no?
No, I don't think so. When is that?
Right after B-Sides.
Right after B-Sides? I might. I mean, unless we figure out some vacation plans, because we're kind of hoping to get something happening maybe end of May, early June.
Fair enough.
So we'll try to figure it out. All right, man. It's been a pleasure and a lot of fun. And for everybody else who was watching, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.
Cheers.